Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of football and sports in general across the world, hello and welcome to the Tuesday evening edition of Game On. My name is Babatunde Koiki, welcoming you to the show and thanking you for joining us because we know you could be anywhere in the world watching any program at all, but you chose to be right here with us at this particular point in time. We do not take it for granted and we thank you very much. Game On comes to you every day, Mondays to Fridays, 9 to 10 p.m. And of course, you can use our social media handles to join the show live. That's, of course, you can see them on your screen, X, Instagram, and of course, Facebook, and also streaming live on YouTube. Of course, you know the handle at News Central TV. Welcome, everyone. Well, let me quickly introduce the guys in the studio today. It's a full house, very, very full house. To my immediate right is Wale Adigun, sporting director of Ughelli Rovers. Thank you very much for joining us. Big man, now, say something, Wale.
I'm a football administrator by accident.
Accidental football administrator.
Well, the good thing about it is that you do not have license to abuse any football administrator anymore.
Yeah, and I also have this interesting philosophy that's going to come on that test.
Okay.
I believe that if things are not going well, you sack the coach.
Okay.
What about sacking the sporting director?
No, it's untouchable.
Okay, well, as you already know, Tony Bito joins us here again as well. Tony Bito is an experienced journalist, and of course, he's also former media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course, former special assistant to the former Minister of Sports Development. Tony, always a pleasure having you on the show, bringing in a wealth of experience, different insights, and of course, the gravity of your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Of course, rubbing shoulders with some of the best guys around, the sporting directors, and everyone.
So, I won't hear the last of this.
Well, you chose to be sporting director. No, we didn't choose you. So you can already tell we have a gentleman in the studio as well. Very accomplished gentleman, by the way. His name is Mr. Oluseyi Oyebode. He's the coordinator of Dynaspo Promotions. He's also a grassroots sports development promoter. I mean, he's a proper dyed-in-the-wool sports promoter. I mean, a degree in physical and health education from University of Lagos in 1994. He was also the head of sports of the Lagos State Students Union. Was the director of sports for Green Springs School. 2003 All-Africa Games, he also was there as well as assistant manager for the gymnastics team, and was also an alumnus of the International Olympic Committee of Advanced Sports Management course. It is with absolute pleasure that we'd like to welcome Mr. Oluseyi Oyebode with us on the show. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure to be here. I just believe we can just put all those accolades into performance.
Okay, well, that's
an accomplished coach, please.
An accomplished coach too.
All sports.
Oh, wow.
Football, swimming, athletics, gymnastics.
He's a genuine all-rounder.
He's a jack of all trades, master of all.
Well, it's good that we have him in the studio today because we're talking about something that is exceptionally important. We keep hearing this phrase or this phrase as it were, sports development, grassroots sports development. And it's always very easy for politicians, sports directors as well to bandy it around, but we have someone who has walked the walk and talks the talk. So, for those who don't really understand, what exactly is sports development? That is one. Then grassroots sports development.
Well, I will take the two as one. There is always the root before the grass. That is just the basic thing. And in a situation whereby you don't have the root, then you don't expect the grass. But unfortunately, we normally have the artificial grass now.
That don't need roots.
And at the end of the day, we still have to keep on going back to the drawing board. And I just discovered that there's nothing like a board in Nigeria again.
Oh, wow.
So the development means that everything should be tailored towards a structure, and the structure comes in phases. And if you don't have a structure, it's like you are talking about you don't have a plan and you are expecting results. I mean, it's a general situation in the annals of sports development in Nigeria. So most of the things we don't put in place, but we expect things to happen overnight. So not until when we develop the root that is when we cannot have the grass.
But I believe every successive Nigerian government always says that, there's a sports development plan. Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. We've seen a few of these that have come from the ministry, that have actually even gone to even the legislature about drafting a sports development plan for Nigeria. Is it that these plans only exist in paper, or we don't practice it as we should?
Yeah, as I said, there are structural issues. The heavy lifting is in putting the structures together. That's where the real hard work is. But you ask yourself, are we patient enough to lay those structures, to be patient, to do the hard work, and wait for these results to begin to show after so many years? That's where the challenge is. We have people who come in, spend 2-3 years, and they are gone. Someone else comes, wants to start his own program afresh. By the time you are gone, midway, you are gone, somebody else will come. So it's difficult to really put a plan, to it, the hard work, the real task of developing the sports. And in the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, now it's Ministry of Sports Development, there is a department called Grassroots Sports Development. Essentially, what they're supposed to do is to coordinate the grassroots efforts from all the states, bring everybody to the center and try to, talent discovery, exposure, management, and all of that. But then the real challenge is, what are you bringing to the center if nothing is happening elsewhere? And that's where the efforts of Coach Sheyi Oyebode should be appreciated. Getting the real hard work is identifying these talents, and then the process of getting them from the cradle, very young, early in their life. Through that process of getting them to be top-level athletes at the top of their game, finishing on the podium in international competition is a long process. So that's where the hard work is, and that's where I think most of our efforts should be, we should concentrate most of our efforts. But that's not what you see. What you see is that we spend money at the top, to mobilize, to motivate already established athletes, and then do very little to put like the fertilizer at the grassroots, as it says. Then you can now have at the roots, so that you can now have the grass that can now yield harvest for you in years to come.
Okay, Coach, from what he said now, it seems as if there's a kind of disconnect, that the government itself is playing greater emphasis at the top of the food chain, while at the very bottom, it's pretty much left to private individuals, people who have interest in sports, and even some of these athletes to even basically use family support or individual support to actually build themselves onto the stage where they can get noticed. Is this how it should be?
You see, the bottom line is sports development is a direct thing, very simple. Very, very, very. I will give you an analogy. The London 2012, if I'm right.
2012. Commonwealth Games.
No,
Olympics. The Olympics, yeah.
They were given the right to host 10 years before. So 10 years before, somebody 10 years after will be 20 years.
Yeah.
And that is how simple it can be. So if I have the right for a tournament that I know annually it comes, or biannually it comes, now it behoves me now to go back now to now go to the root, like we are talking about. So we go to the root now to now look for somebody that will be like 10 years, 10 years after. So if we can invest, and the level of investment is not that much, because there's always the motivation at that level. Many of the children that we have now are highly interested in sports. Parents are highly interested in sports, but they need proper coordination. Like in the UK, that I always use as a modern example, there's always a structure along the line from the community. From the county, they move to the central, and that is how everything is structured. So you are not just going to come anyhow. So you must have fall in certain line. He spoke about sports ministry. Then before sports ministry, you have the local government.
Exactly.
Before
and I'm
even the
asking
local
myself,
government, you have the various community. So the athletes that you are talking about are not coming from heaven. They are already in a place that just needs to pick them and develop them. So everything look messy. At the end of the day, if there's no structure, if there's no plan, then the federal government will tell you, yes, we are spending a lot of money here and there for sports development. Then have you seen any? So somebody that ought to have performed at the age of 17, that was not given that opportunity to perform at the age of 17, we now try to cut his own age when he's 23 back to 17.
Yeah.
And you see, totality as a physical educationist, we know that age is total determinant of performance, either you like it or not. And that is why many of our athletes cannot go as expected. Even most of the people that you see as professionals, the only one that you can call the right age are the people that are born abroad, that have their certification. And before they can...
You say the only athletes that we have that we can honestly say are the true age are those that are born abroad.
Because we are now kneeling on the structure of
Like the United Kingdom, like the United States of America. I mean, Wale, you've always consistently said on many forums, even here, that in order for any athlete to think about dream of even winning an Olympic gold, the process takes a minimum of at least 8 years.
Yep.
So if we're talking about that, going by how we've had sports development in Nigeria, obviously something is wrong.
Yeah, something is wrong. And
it seems as if everything that we've actually achieved, it seems as if it's almost by
happenstance. There's something we call happenstance.
Something
you cannot repeat.
Yeah, the African Games will just come from. We came second and we are shouting into the high heavens. But Egypt had triple or double more gold medals than us, finished second. But what the African Games has shown, and I said last week, is that there is talent. We have talent, abundance. But are we harnessing it?
Are we doing the hard work?
Are we? Egypt, someone asked me a couple of days ago, did Egypt bring those, or was he here? Did Egypt bring those gold medals from Egypt and started wearing it to their athletes in Ghana? No, they invested massively in it. And the government played a huge role. And one question I've constantly asked on this platform is, what is the body language of the government of the day towards sports, towards grassroots development? Back then we used to have the Youth Fund Games.
Oh yeah.
Lagos used to have the Ibile Games then. Ibile Games is what you are talking about, the
Ibile Games was, Lagos.
Yeah, it was Lagos.
There was even a game for Southwest.
Southwest
Games.
There was a Dawn Games for Southwest.
What has happened to all of this? A couple of national sports festivals a year ago, a 13-year-old was in gymnastics. Where is she now? I think she was competing for Anambra State.
Yes.
Where is she now? And you know the peak age of gymnasts is when they're 17, 18. Once they are done with, they at 18, they are done. But 13 years to now, I'm sure that's about 4 years or 5 years gone. What has she achieved in gymnastics? We don't know all of these things. So we talk a good game, but we cannot put in the work. Our minister came back after he said that work has started honestly to ensure that we win in Egypt, because Egypt are hosting the next one. He talks a good game, but he's not going to put in the work, because even by the time the next game comes around,
he won't be there.
He won't even be there. So these are the mitigating factors.
So Coach, I need to ask you this question. You look at everything that we've said here so far, and the question really is, so where is the position of private individuals in the scheme of things if government seems to be failing? People like you who've consistently invested in grassroots sports development, how key is your own role in continuing to move the production chain forward, as it were?
I will sincerely tell you it has not been an easy thing. Because first of all, nobody wants to invest in the grassroots because they are not getting immediate results. So the private body, the sponsors, they are not always eager. Like I'm bringing an international athlete now, like Toby Amushon, to come to an event. You see everybody rallying around. Then you are now bringing a rookie that has not started. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to know. So everybody waits for that person getting to the stardom. So it's a major problem. Now, to some of all these parents that develop their talent, they spend a lot of money, they finance, but they have a focus. The focus of an average parent, let me say an elitist parent, is to get that child trained, take them abroad. So they get all these certifications or in participating in all these local events. They take them to schools in abroad. And immediately they get there, the schools will discover them on time. We have, even for example, in the swimming, we have some of our swimmers now that are now in the US, in some of the Eastern blocks now, that they're being paid as a student. So when they see the system and they give them free education, free scholarship, so, and that is how the system, that is how the system is supposed to be. So that is why we are losing them. And that is the most painful thing. So even most of all these companies that you are talking about, when they come, they want to see things happening quickly. And I'm not going to lie to you. I will tell you it takes some certain years. Like when we started the Dolphin Swimming League 5 years ago.
That's the Dolphin Swimming League here in Lagos.
Yeah, in Lagos. It takes like 5 years before we can produce some of the international athletes now that are representing Nigeria at the international swimming level. The last swimming games, the last youth games, we had about 5 of them. And the last West African Swimming Championship, we have about 5 of them, and they did very, very well. And the states are now jumping here and there, but they never knew how they started. So some of all these children, we need to guide them not to become mercenaries, because immediately they become mercenaries, they will lose focus. So we always collaborate with parents to make sure that, yes, we can, tailor them towards it. And I wouldn't lie, you see, the basic thing is getting affiliation with some of all these foreign organizations also helps a lot, because they know the importance of getting this youth at the right stage.
I'm sorry, I just want to talk to what he said about government. You like it or not, this is only government. And that reminds me, the UK have what they call the sports lottery. I don't know if we still have it here.
Well, the National Sports Lottery does exist here.
Yeah, but the sports lottery also is supposed to contribute to,
of course, sports development.
Grassroots sports development.
A percentage of the money from the lottery.
But that is like non-existent right now. South Africa, they have what they call the Super Disc Challenge, Asidali. It's strictly for players under 14 or 15. That is been their steady supply chain to clubs in the PSL. We need to start looking at programs like this.
The PFL to have their under 15 promises.
And that's credit to them.
You get the impression that there are pockets of these things here and there, but there's no structured policy and a proper pathway that is well structured, well laid out, like you three gentlemen have said. But I do know that as you're also involved in sports, apart from the Dolphin Swimming League that you mentioned, you're also involved in football development as well. There's also something coming up in Lagos this weekend. I believe
you have Easter camp, I believe.
Yeah, you're bringing in some trainers from the United Kingdom in terms of to participate in a grassroots sports development initiative. Tell us a bit more about that.
It's all about changing the narratives. Because we discover, in the 80s, in the 70s, even in the 90s, most of our players, they did wonderfully well on the field. But educationally, the background is porous. And that's why many of them turn to beggars, because of their inability to manage the resources that they got in when they are still active. So what we have decided to do is to partner an organization called FCV, International Academy, Football Academy in the UK. And what do? They have a strong philosophy of football and education. Okay. So you have to go to school while you are playing, so that at the end of the day, even if it is foundation that you are able to make, then at the end of the day, when you finish your football career, you can go back. I will tell you a wonderful story. In 2019, I was with Osaseon Dengue, who happens to be one of the mentees for one of the mentors.
Former Super Eagles forward Osaseon Dengue.
Yes, with FCB. And he told me, he said, do you know that playing in France was like nothing to write home about, because he doesn't have the knowledge to manage the finance. So
he was playing for Lille.
Everything gone under.
Wait, you're saying, let me just get this straight. You were saying that Osaseon Dengue said that all this time in Lille, in the French League 1, that everything he earned there, he can't account for it.
Was mismanaged, in all honesty. And it was when he came to UK. And it was after that program that we met at the age of 38. That was when he now decided to go back to school. So he was using his own lifestyle now to mentor the children. That is how terrible things can be. So what we have decided to do now is get the group of young boys, and one of the things we totally discourage is a cheat. We don't allow that at all. So you must be in school. you must have a proper documentation to show that, yes, you are in school, because immediately we discover, we send you packing. So when we get them, a boy of 16 years now can be nurtured for a training for 2 years. After that 2 years, he's eligible to move. But with that 2 years, he's eligible to do BTech, IB, or A levels while playing a structured football. Most likely in the UK. So our partners are now coming to Nigeria to say we want to see talents. We want to work with them. We want to see how we can help. And 4 of them now will be given opportunity.
Scholarships?
Yes, to visit the UK, to visit the academy for 2 weeks in the summer, so that they can know what it takes to have a standard
training, standard training, and also education. Is FCV also offering scholarships to some of the best students that you get?
Yes, they do. They do. But this is one of the opportunity.
That's identifying them in the first place.
They too, they involved in the structured league in the UK, and they need wonderful players. You now ask why Nigeria is always the destination. Because talents are just abound everywhere. Everywhere. They always love the way Nigerians play their brand of football. And that is what really enticed them. And that's why they said they are coming. But not only the FCV, we have the Nigerian Olympics Olympic value education programs too coming, because they will be teaching them life skills. What happened after your football career. So parents too, we have a benefit
from this. So where and when is this taking place?
It's starting this weekend. On 31st is the arrival at Grange School, GRA.
Grange School,
yes,
okay, in GRA. Okay. And is it open to anyone, or you have to register first?
They have to register.
Okay, how do they register?
We have our website where they can go, and we also have our online channels where they can visit. So when you Google Dynas Pro, you see all this information, so they can go ahead and also register on that
platform as well. Yeah. Okay. We'll definitely. I hope everyone who's watching and who has the intention of plugging their children or wards into the sports development pathway, they also take an opportunity for with this. It's going down at Grange School here in Lagos this weekend. And of course, if you check Dynas Pro on Google, you can find out more about this. Let's quickly move on and let's talk a bit more. Still talking about sports development, we hear that the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has said that Nigeria possesses everything it takes to host a successful Commonwealth Games in 2030. Now, I do believe that the city of Abuja did bid to host, I think, the 2016 one that Glasgow won. But we eventually went to Glasgow. But the Nigeria is still within the mix, trying to host the 2030 edition. And he's argued that it's a black spot on African countries to have never hosted the games despite being a member of the Commonwealth Games since 1930. He was speaking after the arrival of the Nigerian contingent to the just concluded African Games, and he said he's not going to be in office at that time, but he's definitely pushing for Nigeria to be the first African country to host the tournament. Now, gentlemen, this has always been a major issue, especially these last few years, where hosting tournaments has become a big issue. Now, the Commonwealth Games is supposed to be hosted in 2026. They can't even find a host for it. I think Kuala Lumpur recently pulled out, saying they were no longer interested in hosting. But Nigeria, according to the minister, should put itself forward as a candidate. And you're asking yourself, Tony, is this where our priorities lie at this particular point in time?
Well, as you said, the new trend is it's difficult to get countries to host international events single-handedly. People are considering the option of collaboration or co-hosting, as the case may be. It's a lot expensive now to single-handedly host events, unless it is part of a bigger plan, maybe to develop a city or to
a region
or to
urban renewal,
infrastructure and all of that. So you ask yourself, is that the plan? Is that what we want to do? Are we having a bigger picture, or we just want to host, and at the end of the hosting, everybody goes back? But you know, that's on one side. On the other side is the availability of facilities for us as a people to develop our athletes before we now even think of putting these facilities to use to host a big competition. So there's a lot that still needs to be done, to be put in place before we can look at hosting the Commonwealth Games. Are we looking at co-hosting with some other nations, and what are the modalities around it. And while we are thinking about hosting the Commonwealth Games, why don't we think about facilities?
Yeah.
Sports facilities for all the sports, for powerlifting, for gymnastics, for athletics. We talked last week about how difficult it is to get facilities for athletics in Nigeria, apart from a few states. So these are some of the issues that are germane and I think are more pressing for us at this moment. But let's see how it goes. The minister is just 1 year, less than 1 year in office. So let's see how much of an impact it makes in terms of facilities, provision of facilities and all of that. And then we begin to read.
He has only said we should host for sentimental reasons.
Sentimental?
Because no African country
has hosted.
That's not enough. That's not enough. And it talks to your first point. If you want to host, there has to be a grand plan. There has to be a reason. And the minister just goes and says, because no African country has hosted.
Well, he's saying that, I mean, he's going to send a proposal to the presidency to see how Nigeria can start preparation in earnest. And you ask yourself, I mean, Coach Wale, you're looking at major cities like Cape Town, Durban, Cairo. They've not put their names forward.
They're probably looking at bigger things.
You say the basic thing is hosting a tournament is a real deal. And most of the country, most importantly in Europe, when they give you the financial feedback that they earn during that period, you can see that it's a calculated effort.
For instance, now we're hearing that the Paris Olympic Games is going to cost French taxpayers between 3 to 5 billion euros.
Oh, yeah.
So they can already tell you how much it's going to cost them, and they probably even tell you how much they're going to make in returns
they will make.
But can we honestly say that in a country where facts and figures
and with games like this, it is much more city-centric. So don't expect Austin Commonwealth to have a ripple effect around the country.
Yeah, but
it's city-centric. So you probably use Abuja or use Lagos.
You can't play all the football games in Abuja.
No. I mean, I think the rule here is that it has to be in the city.
You can still go around some of
the
those
country,
cities around Abuja. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Nasarawa, for example,
Lafia,
Niger. You can still travel a few kilometers away from the main city and spread those facilities around. That's why I said it's supposed to be a part of a bigger plan. If you want to, bring development to an area, to a region, you could look at something like that. So this is a little part of a bigger plan to develop an area.
Okay, but before we go, I just need to ask you one question. Yay or nay? Should Nigeria think of hosting the 2030?
Now we want to receive visitors. We are very welcoming. Let's host.
Let's host. Okay, Coach, everybody. Yeah.
You see, just like I said, there's no big issue in hosting. But what about the motive? Why are we hosting? You see, some of all these things supposed to be analyzed, and we're supposed to give a return, a feedback. You just spoke about the Paris Olympics now. It's not being hosted. It's about to be hosted. But they can give you the feedback of the expectation. And I will tell you at the end of the day, you will see the value. The All-African Games in Ghana, I was told that some of the facilities now will be given
to University of
University of Ghana.
No, University of Sports. I could say University.
Yeah.
So exactly there's a motive behind that. So I was part of the All-African Games in 2003, and you see most of those facilities and they are wonderful. Where are they now? What have we benefited from it?
So you don't think we should host?
I don't think so, because we're going to have an influx of mediocres, and that is what has ruined Nigerian sports.
Oh wow. Okay. Wale?
I thought you were not going to ask.
No, I have to ask them. You're here as well. So, yay or nay?
I think the minimum wage should increase first. Then we start talking.
That is you never find a more diplomatic answer. You're still watching Game On. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be talking football all the way. Welcome back. You're still watching Game On here on News Central Television. My name is Babatunde Koiki. We have made a quick change, and the bearded one himself joins us. Njoku rarely makes an appearance at night, but you know what they say, the freaks come out at night. So, right. Udoka, very nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Very rarely do you come on at night, but I'm sure we're going to have
a special night.
It's a special night.
The Eagles are flying. The Eagles are soaring.
It's all right. So, of course, we're talking football now in this half of the show, and it's very interesting. We just talked about grassroots sport development and how Nigeria always seems to produce prodigious talents. A country of over 200 million people 200 million athletic and very sporting people will never lack quality in any area of the sport. Be it swimming, we have talented swimmers, believe it or not, but football always seems to find it to the top of the list. And the last few weeks has seen Nigeria soar incredibly high in youth football. The Viareggio Youth Cup, the Viareggio tournament, one of the most prestigious youth football tournaments in the world, never been won by an African team before, until now, where 3 Nigerian teams made it to the semi-final. One of them eventually winning it, Beyond Limits FC. But there were other teams in there as well. There was Mavlon, and there was also Ojodu City, and of course, I think another one with an interesting name that skips my mind right now. But one of the players in that tournament, scouted by a lot of people, a lot of clubs, was a young player by the name of Hafiz Umar Ibrahim. Now, he lit up he lit up that tournament with the quality of his play, and it started a tug of war between many clubs. One of those clubs is one of the biggest clubs in European football and world football today, Chelsea Football Club. They had to have this boy that they had to start bringing the likes of Raheem Sterling to speak to him personally so he can come over for a trial. And now we can confirm to you that he is in England, London as we speak, training with Chelsea, trying to earn a contract. And one man chronicled this player's rise, especially at that Viareggio Youth Tournament, Lolade Adewi, a former managing editor of Goal.com Nigeria. He's also managing editor of one of Nigeria's biggest football sites, SoccerNet.ng. He joins us from Thessaloniki in Greece. He's an international sports journalist now. Lolade, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tunde. It's good to be here.
Okay, so of course you can see that there's Toyin Bitoye here as well. There's Udoka, Njoku, and Wale Adigun. But let's start with Hafiz Umar. Why the brouhaha over this young man? What makes him so special? We heard that he was originally going to a Scandinavian club before Chelsea said, no way. Had to start getting some of their players to talk to him and convince him to come to London. You watched him throughout that tournament for Ojodu City. What is so special about him?
So Hafiz Umar Ibrahim is a player whose time has come. He grew up in Kano. His parents are poor, and he sold watermelons to help the family to get by, but he loves football, and football has been a passion since he was a young boy. And finally, he gets this chance now to show the world that he's good enough, because in Italy, he went with Ojodu City FC, an amateur side based in Lagos. They played 6 matches, and in 6 matches, Hafiz scored 10 goals.
Wow.
He took them to the semi-finals on the back of his 10 goals. He scored 2 hat-tricks during the tournament. And the Viareggio Cup is where agents, scouts go to look for the next best player. You've got Andrea Pirlo, you've got several Italian players that have been discovered there and have gone on to be signed into big contracts in football. And 2 years ago, a Nigerian boy played there, Ebenezer Akinsomiro, who is now at Inter. He was scouted from there, and now he's at Inter Milan. So Hafiz Umar Ibrahim got this opportunity to shine in front of the scouts, scoring 10 goals, and now he's now in Chelsea. As we spoke on Sunday night, and he's taking his opportunity at Chelsea to shine and to get that contract. In 2 weeks, we will know the result of the trials. But the intrigue is that he also already went to Norway, to the Norwegian champions, Bodo Glimt. They brought him in, and we were about to sign a contract. But on the way to Norway, Chelsea showed up. They got Raheem Sterling, their forward, to speak to Hafiz on video to convince him of their interest. And the boy could not reject this opportunity. And so he turned down the opportunity to sign for the Norwegian champions, Bodo Glimt. And now he's in London with trialing for Chelsea.
Okay, so he hasn't earned a contract yet. He's just on trials.
Well, he's an 18-year-old, and they want to see his quality, and so they will give him 2 weeks to show. And from what I've heard, they didn't push him straight into the team to train, to play around. He's starting with gym work and fitness, so that when he starts before the end of the week to train with the players, the first thing when the players come back from the international break, then he's strong enough to be able to show everybody his ability. And I think that was really important to put him, because what he faced in Norway was he had just left Italy, traveled for several hours after playing the semi-final in Italy, and then on the next day he was trialing in the cold weather of Norway. And I think this was one of the things that made him turn down the opportunity to sign for the Norwegian champions, because he had not rested and the weather was cold. Somebody who grew up in Kano, hot Kano, and then sub temperatures in Norway. So, but then the call by Raheem Sterling made him choose Chelsea. So he has now the opportunity to show Chelsea this is his ability. This is what he can do, and I think he's really hungry. He wants to show that.
Okay.
Lolade, from my experience with Wiz kids, talented footballers, going to a big club, I would want Hafiz to just take it easy. I would have preferred maybe start from Norway, on your skills, and then graduate, and then move on gradually the Mikel Obi way from Norway, and then come to England. We've also had a lot of examples of Wiz kids, 13-year-old, 15-year-olds, who went to Chelsea at some point and never really grew up into the superstars that we were expecting them to be. You had a chance of speaking with this guy on Sunday. What is running through his mind? And is that something that is also considering an opportunity to grow up into the European system before landing in a big club, instead of just finding yourself in a big club and then the weight of expectation crushes your talent and your skill and your confidence level, and you're never able to really hit the ground running?
It's true that many young players have struggled, to fulfill their potential. And I think Hafiz is aware of this. But also what Chelsea plan to do is to sign him and then give him time away from the club to grow. They see potential. They see his potential more than us, I think. They see where he can grow to. And I think any club that would look at a Nigerian talent, a Nigerian icon like Victor Osimhen today, knows that if they had the opportunity to sign Victor Osimhen 5 years ago and then keep him in a small club to grow, they would have done that. A club like Wolfsburg, they are always regretting letting Victor Osimhen out of their sight, out of their grasp, So I think Chelsea is taking a chance by bringing him in at this stage, grooming him, and then the idea from the get-go is to send him to France to play at Strasbourg, one of their partner clubs. And so he can develop at Strasbourg in the Ligue 1 and find his feet and be able to develop away from the pressure. Chelsea know that it's a lot of pressure to come to that club as an 18-year-old from an academy side to excel. Okay. So the idea is that he's going to go to France to develop once they are certain that he's the kind of quality.
Whether it's the real deal
that they want.
Okay. Udoka, you have a question?
I would like to talk about the mentality of the player and also talk about the what ifs. Now, what if these trials doesn't work out for Hafiz? If he comes back will he be coming back to Ojudu to play football? And what will his mentality be going forward? Do you think he has what it takes to overcome whatever happens if the trials doesn't work out for him?
From speaking with Hafiz in Italy and from speaking to him on the phone, I think Hafiz knows how far he has come from the streets of Kano, trying to get somebody, and which is common to many Nigerian young talents, trying to find somebody who will take a look at their potential and give them an opportunity. And what Hafiz has gotten from Ojudu City FC is that opportunity to be seen on the stage of like the Viareggio Cup, and he took it with every opportunity that he had. He scored in every game of that championship, and he didn't let it out of his hand. He didn't let it slip from his grasp. And I believe that he's going to Chelsea to show them that he has it. And like I said previously, the idea that Chelsea didn't bring him in just to play immediately, but they are giving him time in the gym to strengthen his muscles so that he can then come into the first team training when they are back from international window and really get himself stuck in. I think that's the ideal opportunity. But you have in Hafiz a mind, young. I mean, if you watch my interview with him, he said he's never met the defender. I asked him, have you ever met a defender that intimidated you in this sport? He said, no, in Pidgin, I never see anybody will go intimidate me, will go do me anyhow.
It's just a thing, don't worry.
It's the strength of his mental strength. Like, no, we're going to get stuck in. So, but if he doesn't get signed by Chelsea, there are many clubs that I'm aware of that have also shown interest in Spain, in Italy, that want him. But I think Chelsea know what they have in their grasp now, and they don't want to let it go. And that's why they really fought hard to convince him with Raheem Sterling to come to Chelsea.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. Lolade Adewi, international sports journalist, managing editor of SoccerNet.ng, and of course, in case you didn't know, he's also an international correspondent for Deutsche Welle television there in Germany. Thank you so much for your time, and also helping us to bring to the limelight this new rising star of Nigerian football. Hopefully, he gets to live up to the high hopes and expectations that everyone has for him, because we all know as one of the fastest ways out of poverty is through sports. So thank you so much.
We wish the young lad the best of luck.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, let's move on very quickly. Of course, in case you didn't remember, there's an international friendly match going on tonight. It's Nigeria versus Mali. The starting lineup is already out. I can read that out for you. It's goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali in goal. There's Semi Ajayi there. There's Jamilu Collins, Chidozie Awazie, Bright Osai Samuel, the UFC exponent, he's there as well. There's Wilfred Ndidi, Raphael Onyedika is there as well. Alex Iwobi, Moses Simon, and Kelechi Iheanacho. Interesting lineup, gentlemen. No Cyril Dessers on the bench. There's Ademola Lookman, there's Tanimu, there's Uzoho, there's Tella, there's Umar Sadiq, there's Yusuf Dessers there as well, and Ojo. Wale, your impression?
A popular opinion, I think Francis Uzoho should be starting. Yeah.
Why?
So, yeah, of course he should be starting.
Because it's a friendly match?
It's a friendly game and...
We all know what Nwabali can do.
Oh, exactly.
But there's a Lorileke Ojo.
Yes.
I don't care. The pecking order says it's Nwabali, Uzoho, and Ojo. So if Ojo starts or if Uzoho starts, I don't have any qualms. But I'm not saying I'm tired of Nwabali. Nwabali has given us a semblance of stability. We know that. But I mean, it's a friendly...
Maybe Uzoho will still get a chance.
Well, when is it going to come?
But during the game, I mean, the game, it's a friendly game. They can make changes and then bring in someone else. So Uzoho may still get his chance.
Okay.
But if you ask me, I'd rather have Lorileke Ojo start because we've seen Nwabali.
We've also seen Uzoho.
So let's see someone else.
I agree, but that's the thing about friendly matches. It's always a good.
But the good thing is that the man wants to win.
Well, I mean, of course, winning will also enhance his possibility of getting the Super Eagles job. So, still speaking about the Super Eagles job, it's an interesting name has also entered the conversation. We heard that Domenec Torrent has also thrown his hat into the ring to manage the Super Eagles. He is a former assistant of Joseph Guardiola, 61 years old. He's had stints at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Manchester City, alongside Guardiola, where he's achieved significant success, winning trophies. He's also, apart from managing Girona as well, he's also managing the Turkish Super League with Galatasaray and the Brazilian Serie A club Flamengo. We just keep hearing different names now, and gentlemen. We never know who is who. One day is Torrent, another day is Finidi.
Can we even afford this guy?
I mean, that's the big question.
This guy is expensive.
I'd rather we have local coaches take charge of the Super Eagles, but we should be done with foreign coaches taking charge of our football.
Really?
No, I never subscribe to that school of thought. I mean, whoever is best for the job.
Being Nigerian,
should get the job.
But when you worked with both Nigerian and foreign coaches, who would you have a preference for?
The difference is in the kind of support they get, and the difference is the support from Nigerians. That's the major difference. The support from the employers.
Okay, that's very key.
Right now, there's somebody on the job. Let's see what he makes of this friendly. Let's see what he makes of this friendly, and if he puts himself up, for
the permanent position. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, let's also tell you that today is also an auspicious day in Nigerian football. In Nigerian football legend, bona fide legend, Taribo West turned 50, and he's been celebrated by everyone. Talking about UEFA, his club Internazionale in Milan. I believe even the Nigerian Football Federation themselves also celebrating Taribo West, who was a stalwart in Nigerian football. He was a key member of the Nigerian team that won a gold medal at the Atlanta Olympic Games. He also made his Super Eagles debut in 1994, made just 42 appearances. I would have thought it was more, but he also played in 2 AFCONs in 2000 and 2002, and also 2 FIFA World Cups. Congratulations to Taribo West, bona fide Nigerian football
gold
legend
medalist.
and Olympic gold
And I thought for a period of time he was top 10 best defender in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree. But thank you very much, guys, for what's been a very entertaining show. Toyin Bitoye here as well. Udoka making an appearance. Always good to have you on the show. You should really come around more often.
Definitely.
And of course, Wale Adigun, and also to everyone behind the scenes who made this show particularly possible. It's been fun. It's been entertaining, and we hope to do it again. But before we go, did you know that in 1969, a Huddersfield fan watched his heroes. He's a Huddersfield fan, a Huddersfield Town fan, and he watched his heroes play against Blackpool from the pitch side while lying in his bed. Yeah, believe it or not, 19-year-old David Tagg had been bedridden for 8 years, but the club arranged for a removal van to collect him from the hospital, bring him to the stadium, put him beside the colour flag where he could watch his beloved team for the first time ever. And thankfully, they made his day because they won by 2-0. So
did it get better?
I hope it did.
If he did get better, you can be sure that helped his recovery. But many thanks to everyone again who made the show possible. My name is Sunil Koiki. Of course, the show makes a return tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.